Welcome, everyone. Oh, we have two viewers now. Welcome, everyone. I'm Zora, and welcome to episode number 16, Rig by Design. The title of this episode is While They Rename Post Offices, Power Expands. Originally, I had an idea of really talking about what is going on with Congress now back in session. However, yesterday I read a CNN article that was actually I saw on Substack, and this article actually really disgusted me. It was about a recent investigation that exposed a network of men sharing tactics on drug, how to drug and sexually assault women. According to the article, there's over 60,000 men, or maybe higher than that, men that are actually part of this network, with most of them be residing here in the United States. These are not isolated events. This is organized behavior. And this is actually communities formed around the exploitation of women. There's one part within the article that didn't necessarily mention it, but men are paying money to see this. So to see women get raped. And some of these women are wives. Some of these women are girlfriends. These men are actually looking up on how to drug and in order to exploit the women. When I originally read this article, I was sickened. Um, However, I'm not surprised. That's nope. I am not surprised. And one of my responses was just look at who's on our Supreme Court. Just look at what is going on with the Epstein files. This behavior has been normalized. And for those people that don't believe it, here in America, we have a rape culture. And it is accepted to exploit. Even my husband said people are have a blind eye. And I thought that was absolutely perfect. I am not surprised. I am devastated that these are the conversations that I have to have with my sons and daughters. My daughter on how to protect herself, my sons in regards to respecting women. So really beginning the episode on a very serious topic. And then at the same time, I want to continue on. At the same time, we're also receiving reports concerning the ICE detention centers. And I'm not sure if you remember this, but women and children are also being subjected to sexual abuse while in custody.
Oh, there we go.
And so these are not singular claims. This is a pattern that has been documented here in the United States over years. We need to take in the deeper question. And the deeper question is we need to start understanding what is being ignored, what is being minimized, and what is being allowed to persist within our own culture and institutions. These issues are not being explored within Congress. In other words, there are issues that are being explored in Congress tends to be symbolic actions in order to create this whole idea of appearance of movement. But while these topics that you and I are discussing today continue to remain untouched. So what we're going to really be discussing is we're going to be examining that gap, what is visible, and then actually what is moving. And then we're also going to be looking at what is prioritized versus what is deferred. So, Jason, before we got online, we started talking about, what's going on with women Men, this whole rape culture. What are your thoughts right now? Why are we ignoring it? Why aren't we able, because I'm looking at who's on the Supreme Court. Well, who do we have? Clarence Thompson, Anita Hill. Who do we have? Brett and his whole beer pong thing. The sexual exploitation has been going on with women for years. And yet, here in the United States, we like to think we're above it all. Yet, we're not prosecuting any of these people.
No, it's I always say that dads of all daughters, right? And I'm not talking dads of daughters and sons, but dads that only have daughters are a different type of dad. Um, my blunt response is I'm not afraid of a 6x9. I'll protect any one of my daughters. And I've always been very blunt about if this were to ever happen to any one of my daughters or my granddaughters, the the cops better catch them before I do. But it doesn't look like they want to. It's they're allowing this, and I remember we were talking before. I remember hearing something about this, like on the dark web or something, and I can't quite pinpoint it, but um, the shit that goes on, this culture behind the scene is it's fucking grotesque. It's disgusting, and my thought today when it comes to government getting involved with this shit, um, immediately goes to a video I watched of cultures like the Israel culture is not much different than, the red pill podcast bro culture that we have here in the United States. And I think, God, it's so just thinking about that. I think about it's a reality. It could happen, and you just want to grab your freaking representatives, right? And all these law enforcement, do something, do something, but they don't. They don't do anything. They just, you know, money is what controls this world. Cops can be bought, judges can be bought. I don't care what anybody says. Oh, that only happens on TV. No, it doesn't. It happens in real life. So, um, I'm at that point is when the government doesn't do their job, and I'm thinking to the future here, uh, and I may have said it last week, but in addition to it is if the government's not going to do their job, let's say everything goes great, Democrats win the Senate, they win the House, they impeach them, they put them on trial. Do you think they're going to remove them? No, because it takes 2/3. So at what point are the people of this country, and I believe that people like you and I and people watching are the overwhelming majority of Americans in this country that are fed the fuck up. We're fed up with all, and this goes everything from this rape culture to the way our fucking lives are lived. When are they gonna, or we gonna just, you know, I'm not one to condone violence, but essentially wipe the slate clean and start over. I mean, it's fucking written in the Bill of Rights. That's other countries do it, and people over here on both sides are like, yeah, that's how you do it. But when people get here and protest in large numbers, and there's going to be stupid ass people that are violent and try to, agitators in a crowd or whatever. But when it comes to having a revolution in this country, we're not going to vote our way out of it. If it's going to be a revolution, it needs to be a revolution. So the rest of the world can look on and say, it's about fucking time. I mean, unless, of course, Congress does their job, and does something about all this shit. But I'm not, like in other countries, websites like that, they'd be shut down like that instantly. No ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I have the number wrong. I said 62,000. It's 62 million.
That would be like what, worldwide or just here in the U.S.?
Mostly from the USA. Mostly from the USA.
I believe it. When they say there's an app for that, they literally mean there's an app for everything.
App for it. And so what they do, and Kassam Rashad basically said how to drug and rape their spouses, prostitute them to other men, and broadcast it online for other men to pay and watch.
Like the culture in the culture in DC, the whole Eric Swalwell thing. When you have a best friend up there saying, I I didn't know he was doing that. What bullshit. Bullshit. This culture, and this isn't party lines. This isn't Democrat or Republican. This is men.
Well, one thing of what we need to say is at least the Democrats are calling for accountability. They called for accountability on
Oh yeah,
this one. You know,
they do.
the GOP normalizes it and allows it continue on.
Mhm.
So
I mean,
there's a difference there.
oh yeah. I mean, there is, but if I could like ever thank Marjorie Taylor Greene for anything, I would say thank you for letting us know about a fucking slush fund for sexual assault allegate. I mean, what? You have a slush fund, Congress does, for sexual assault, harassment, claims and shit like that. What in the fuck is that? And I think
That's the
as ignorant as she
normalization.
is, I think deep down inside, you know, Marjorie Taylor Greene, for all her faults, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, I believe she does want certain things in America to be, good, America first or whatever. But I just think she's too naive to see it, too naive to see, you know, and not very intelligent. And I don't mean that. Yeah, I do mean that. She's just not intelligent. It's But for her to come out and talk about this slush fund, damn well after she made that public, that heads were rolling in Congress on both sides of the aisle. They were like, and that's why, again, we need to look to these there's progressive candidates running all over that want to change. They, you know, and it's hard. It's hard because, the right wing media machine owns almost everything. It's
having bad
your
connection.
earbuds are cutting in and out.
Earbuds are cutting in and out, and you're having some bad connection. Okay. Let's see if I can.
I will take care of that connection. There we go. Now I can't hear. Oh, maybe it's me. And 2. All right. 4. Unmuted. I can't hear you at all now. Nope, not at all.
Now
there
can
we go.
you hear me?
Yes, there we go.
Okay. Sorry, everyone, for technical.
Sorry, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. AirPods cutting in and out. Jason having. We got sound now, Dina. We have sound.
Yes,
So,
yeah, at least we do.
can you hear us? That's a hard thing to say. Let me write a message.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Yes,
Okay.
beautiful. Awesome. Thanks, team.
Beautiful. Thank you, Christopher. Thank you, Dina. Thank you, Wolfgang. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Muddy Bog. Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, SNL. Thank you, Carl, for joining us today. We are going over a very difficult topic, but I think it's worth us discussing it. The only way that we can change things is by having open discussions. With that being said, last week, one thing that struck me, and I should have probably pushed back a little bit more, is this whole term of being unapologetic. I think the GOP is unapologetic. And part of this, them being unapologetic, allows them to continue to normalize things like sexual assault. And so there's where I'm having a little bit of disconnect with that particular terminology, to say that we need to be unapologetic. Um,
Unapologetically progressive.
okay,
That's my thing. It's not about being unapologetic,
right.
about things. It's about, you know, be unapologetic about passing legislation that's going to actually help the American people. Be unapologetic about making laws where people that commit shit like rape spend the rest of their life in prison no matter what. First offense doesn't matter. Get rid of all the first, second, third, fourth offense bullshit. If you rape or do anything like that to a woman, to a child, whatever, you belong locked up in prison for the rest of your life. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Be unapologetic about helping the people of this country so we can all flourish. That's what my term of being unapologetic, I guess,
And
stands for.
I appreciate you clearing that up, because I would give some pushback about that, because what do we see within the Republican Party right now? What do we see what's on the Supreme Court right now? What do we see what's going on with the Epstein files? And everybody is just normalizing it. And that's a problem for me. And I'm sure it's a problem for anybody that's listening to our live stream right now. Um, so with that being said, I do want to move us on to ICE right now, because what it do we are we seeing a whole lot on ICE in the main topics right now?
Nope. They're here.
They're here.
Well, they are here, and they're in my city.
They're here, and they're
Yep.
still expanding. And I want to make this point loud and clear. They are still funded,
Yep.
even though DHS is not funded. They are still funded. They are still funded by the I can't call it the big beautiful, by
Big
the
bureaucratic bullshit bill.
right. So by the big, they are funded, and they're funded with, I don't know, it's multi-millions of dollars. So this is in despite of the DSHS shutdown. Moreover, something I mentioned at the very beginning of here, there the ICE detention centers are riddled with reports of
Yep.
rapes. And we're
Yep.
not talking about rapes of just adult women. We're talking about sexual assault of children.
Michigan has the second largest facility in the country in Baldwin, which is about 2 hours north of me. And I know I'm tired of the showboating from representatives. Well, I want to go inspect it. And for what? Because they're just gonna when you go there, people are gonna say stuff, and then they're just gonna, well, we inspected it and we demand more. I'm tired of strongly worded letters. We demand this be fixed, that be fixed. Stop demanding it and do it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, it's all show. It has to do with it's performative.
Yep.
It's extremely performative.
And that's where I have a problem with my representative, Hillary Scholten, in Michigan's 3rd Congressional District. I receive her weekly emails, and I've been noticing this trend with her emails. And she's a Democrat. She's an APAC Democrat. Uh, Her emails are all, I, I did this. I went and did that. I received this award from this group. I went and visited the facility in Baldwin, and I didn't like what I seen, so I wrote a strongly worded letter, and it's frustrating. It is, because I don't get no response from her. I write her quite often. She doesn't respond back to me. And I mean, I'm not a total asshole when I write it, but I'm blunt. I don't cuss or anything. I'm blunt and I'm to the point, and I let her know. Uh, you know, I considered it this time, and I was really strongly considering running for the seat here. I've lived in
Yes,
this district my entire life, and I know every area, from here to Muskegon, the southeast side of Grand Rapids, southwest side of Grand Rapids. I know this district. I know the people. I and I'd beat her. I would. I know I would. I'm not saying I'm going to be on stage being like, she's fucking crazy and this and that. I know how to have decorum.
Right.
I know, and I'm not afraid to speak in public. I mean, maybe it'd be a little uncomfortable, but once I get going, you
We
ain't getting
can't
me. Nope,
stop you. We
nope,
can't
can't
stop
stop me. I'm
you.
because I'm passionate. I'm
Yeah.
passionate about the direction of this country, and I always try to tell people there's once history's happened, there's no debating history. There's no debating the numbers. There's no debating who did this and who did that because it's all written in the books. You don't get to change them. Unlike now, you know, everything is that's being reported out of the top house in this country. You can't trust. You can't trust the job numbers. You can't trust the crime numbers. You can't trust any of that.
Yeah, because
It's
everything
untrustworthy.
right now is very partisan,
Yes,
loyalists,
and
and
I've been
it's
enjoying that,
true propaganda.
and it's amazing for me lately. The consensus online, are people more and more people are discovering that how closely aligned a lot of the culture in the United States with the red pill culture is what Israel is. And you know, I've read comments and I've seen videos. People are like, I never knew. I never knew. And I'm not saying, and what they like to do when you push back on it is they like to say, that's an Semitic comment or you're anti Semite. No, it has nothing to do with that. I'm sure there are millions of great Jewish people in Israel, but the
Mhm,
culture over there, the IDF over there, the military over there, it's all right wing, white supremacist bullshit. It is, and this more and more people discovering how much we've funded to Israel, and a lot of people are asking the question, why? Why are we
well,
funding a country like,
they're beginning to ask the question, I
yeah,
would say. Um, this is the most I've seen, being discussed about Israel than I've seen in my entire life.
yep,
I am happy to hear that they are phrasing this as genocide because that's what it's been for a long time,
yep, and I, and
you
I, and
know?
I believe it started blowing up because of Abdul El Sayed.
Mhm.
The candidate now polls are showing it's neck and neck between him, uh, McMorrow, and
Well,
APAC one or whatever. Anyway,
right,
here in Michigan, but he's still being suppressed on this on over there on the clock app, right?
right.
Uh, I believe because of him and Hassan Parker supporting him and giving him a larger platform.
Can we
He's been since
hold
day
on,
one.
hold on one bit. There's a question here. When you speak about the red pill, there's some
Yeah.
of our audience does not necessarily understand the meaning of the red pill, and I'm assuming the Matrix, correct?
No, no, it goes back to that documentary, right?
Right,
Right. It's the red pill. It's the red pill or the blue pill. The red pill is more, the QAnon shit, uh the basement of a pizza place shit, that adrenochrome from the blood of babies and that's the red pill shit. That's the crazy shit. I'm white and I'm a male, I'm superior. That's red pill.
okay,
Rather than the blue pill is more progress, more let's get shit done, let's move forward. We need to move forward as a society. And
right.
there's a shadow government that runs everything, the red pill. That's the difference in the two, at least when I say it.
What you're thinking. I do wanna do a little bit of a, backtrack. I'm g Also, this episode will probably continue on Tuesday because there is so much to discuss,
Yep,
because Congress has reconvened, but what they're working on will really kinda surprise you. I have in my RSS feed when the Congress is in session, so I can see what sort of things they're actually working on. And on Tuesday, come to my surprise, they were working on things like renaming the post offices.
Jesus Christ.
In the middle of this, You would
Uh,
think, yeah, think about that. Over 13 provisions for renaming post office. It's shuffling paperwork. Yes, immediately approved. Renaming post offices.
oh
What
my
do you,
god.
what does the audience think about that? I know what I think about that, but what do you think about that? And then buried in it, I do have to pull it up because it's,
Well,
yeah,
you can't help but laugh. I mean, it's just so and this goes back to the very beginning of the episode when I was, at what point do we truly wipe it clean? You know, it's it's so stupid. It is just stupid.
okay. And so there are rules regarding this. So I these are the things for me to when I'm connecting the dots, I've said this from the very beginning. I am not looking at the headlines. Do you think the CNN report would be in the headlines? Hell no.
Nope.
This is not going to be in any headlines. I'm actually surprised that it was CNN that brought it out, to be honest with you, but it will not be in the headlines, you know? So as critical thinkers as I hope we are, we're looking down on the 6th, 7th page. We're looking within tech versus the headlines. One of my reports I got from tech, not from the headlines. You have to dig within there.
Yep.
So that's part of the reason why I have the Congress on my RSS feed because I know I'm not going to get this in the headlines. So, as we all know, or maybe not know, Congress did reconvene on Monday. And as I stated earlier, one of the first legislative actions were the series of post office naming bills. Now, these were processed under what they call suspension of the rules, allowing them to move quickly with minimum debate. But the one thing that this does, it gives this whole appearance of productivity. You know, I'm always of the opinion Congress doesn't do fucking much these days.
Nope, they don't. I mean, you look at
They get this
last
high
Congress and this
salary,
Congress.
and
Yeah.
you pointed out in one of your posts, not only do they get a high salary, how much money do they get per person?
You have to Google MRA, Members Representative Allowance, Congress 2025. They allocated $850 million plus an additional $24 million for interns. Yeah. That's so they can buy furniture, maybe hire staff. If you do the math on that, 38 members. I don't remember what it was exactly, but it's because these elected officials don't do the work. I seen a picture with my representative and she had 4 staff members. And I'm like, what does she do?
What does she
You know,
do? Oh, they
what does she do?
they rename post offices.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's like, I try to show people that more to just like, we already had a DOGE. We had the GAO, Government Accountability Office. And now this for 2025 and 2026, that MRA for members, representative allowance, that's almost $1 billion
Yeah,
on top. And this is on top of their salaries
yes.
that
On
they,
top of
they
the
get to
fact
use
that they get health care.
for flights, for furniture, for staff, for office equipment, whatever they need. And it's like, are you kidding me? Are
And
you fucking joking? It's gotta be wow.
and now on top of that, we still have a half $1 trillion missing in regards to our Social Security funds.
Yep.
So,
Man, I never gonna see that again. Nobody
n-
knows.
so going back to my main point is these bills are being created with this whole idea of productivity, but we're not
Yep.
addressing anything substantial.
No.
We're not addressing the DHS shutdown. We're not addressing ICE oversight, but there was something else in these bills that I read. And this is something that should scare everyone because nobody's talking about this. This has to do with surveillance policy.
What policy?
Surveillance.
Oh, yeah.
You know what was buried? There is this bill in there that talks about surveillance and power maintenance, and it expires on April the 20th. I may have to get the look up the date again. It's either April the 20th or April the 23rd, but it expires. They're pushing through this surveillance, and it's called HR 8035, which would extend surveillance authority through 2027. Has anybody heard about HR 8035?
No. Surveillance of what?
Okay, it's let me think about it. It's surveillance of you and I.
I know that there is a big push in South over Detroit area because they want to use they try to put in the budget for these surveillance drones to help police. You know, here's my whole thought on it. Whatever. To me, it's my personal thought on it is I think it's just to allocate money for them. You know, they want to collect data on humans or whatever. And my advice to people is, you know, to push ads, to find out their behaviors and do that shit. I've never ever purchased anything off an ad I've seen, right? If you want to surveil me through my phone while I'm taking a shit on the toilet, be my guest. I don't really give a shit. I have nothing to hide. You know, the people that I think do I think it's an overreach of the American people? Yes, I do. It's none of your fucking business. But if you so desperately need to watch me shit on the toilet while I'm watching my TikToks, go right ahead. You know, uh, but at the same time, on the other side of the coin, I see it. People want their privacy, and they should be able to have a right to their privacy. That is the absolute opposite of what Republicans talk about small government, you know, government not being involved and stuff like that. That's the absolute opposite of it. You know, the data has become worth more than freaking gold. And I personally, I don't get it. You know, I don't get it. What you want to see my search? Why don't you do that for something good? You know, people that are searching heinous shit, going back to the very beginning of our, you know, yeah, if you wanna do that, find those motherfuckers. Find those
Well,
people
who's
that are searching
paying
that
to
heinous shit.
watch women get raped? Who's paying to
Yes,
watch a woman be unconscious,
you betcha.
drugged? Who's paying for that type of stuff? But it goes back to surveillance of, we're talking about the emails, we're talking about the text messages, we are talking about phone calls, we are talking about video chats, we are talking about cloud data.
It's fucking
And I
ridiculous.
just
It
put in the
is.
chat screen, Big Brother, anyone? Is this
Right, right.
So that's what we're
I
talking about.
say, you know
And
what?
this is
It's
the
like
bill. Have you seen anything about this one?
no, I haven't heard about it. All I heard about was surveillance drones over, you know,
Okay,
Southwest Michigan or
right.
Southeast
So
Michigan.
again, this is the reason why I go to the RSS feed because these are the things that are slipping through without any notice.
It's ridiculous. I don't
And so why do you think surveillance bills such as this aren't getting attention?
well, this isn't just, you know, for the American people. I mean, there are diplomats here from other countries. There are, you know, people that work for Congress. There are people that work for state governments. You know, you got to think of that too. Um, you know, so is that bill going to allow them to spy on, uh, say, the staff of my Governor Gretchen Whitmer? You know, is that bill? Is that what it's going to do? Is it going to allow so they can get inside information? It's to me, it's set up more to get information to use to blackmail people. That's just kinda how I see it. You know, because do they give a shit what you have to think? Do they give a shit what I have to think? Probably not. You know, probably not. You know, but if we were
Well,
like
I
to
don't
some,
know
you
because
know,
remember we also have what was it, the AN, you know, the anti-fascist that they
Antifa,
deem
yeah,
as a
Antifa.
terrorist group,
Yep,
and I'm anti-fascist. Am I a
it
terrorist?
doesn't even exist. They literally made that up on. They made it up and said
I know.
Antifa. Well, I'm like, where's the headquarters so I can go sign up? Right? Where is it? So you're
But
calling
is
all the
this
people of
different?
World War II terrorists?
Well, it reminds me of McCarthyism
Yeah,
and what was taking
yeah,
place there.
yeah. It's
And so, I'm saying to you that even during all what's going on, we're talking about ICE getting no notification. If I was supposed to sound, you hear me, Jason, right?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Um, we have the sound up, so I don't know what's going on. So anyway, so as I was saying, is that geez, I lost my train of thought there.
McCarthyism,
McCarthyism, surveillance, connect the dots. Let's.
Antifa.
Oh,
Are they going to
connect.
use that to arrest everyday people like
I mean,
you and I?
yes, you got it. You got it. Um, basically, that people like you and I, who are anti-fascist, who believe in America, they can use to target us. And my question has to do with the fact is why are we continuing to allow this to take place? What has happened to our sense of privacy?
That's
Is it because we have this internet that now
yeah.
no longer do we have any sort of privacy?
The only way for you to have, I mean, would be have privacy would be to truly go off the grid. I mean, like literally. I mean, even the power lines are run. I mean, that's all computerized. You know, it's amazing. I like watching stuff about hackers and they and the shit I've learned about it. Like some TVs even have cameras built in them, and if they wanted to hack in them, they could. And that's the thing. People, I guess, they don't understand is if it's a computer and it's connected to the internet, it can be hacked one way or another. So the whole labeling people like Antifa, I I I don't. Will they make an example? They already have. Somebody already did get arrested under that.
Mhm.
I think it was somebody out in Seattle, out west, or something like that.
Yeah. Well, of
Um,
course, Democrat area.
what they're going to do is they're going to label. They'll find some larger somebody on the left, like Harry Sisson, right? Who young man built a big platform, or can't think of his name, and I follow him, but some big creator or some journalist that's on the left. Uh, he'll say something that'll Trump won't like, and well, he's a terrorist. Go arrest him. Because people like to ask, and even people on the left, like, why didn't Biden do anything? Well, Biden was
He's a moderate.
too.
He's too
He was, but
centralist.
he was a stickler for the separation of the executive power versus the DOJ. So uh, not only that, like the Epstein stuff was still in litigation, so it couldn't be released. Um, and I think it's going to take. You know, I'm reminded of an old movie about the president called Dave. You ever see that?
It's
Something
not
happened
ringing a
to
bell. I recognize
something
things.
happened to the president, and they needed a lookalike. And this guy Dave looked exactly like he was his twin, the president of the United States in the movie, right?
Mhm.
So he had to go around pretending to be the president of the United States, even though he wasn't, because the president was having surgery or something like that. Whatever. It's an older movie, right? Um, and while he was president, he took advantage of that, and and there's a scene in there where he locked his cabinet. Well, the president's cabinet, but now it was his cabinet because, they hired him to play the president.
Mhm.
Locked them all into a room and said, let's balance the budget. And we're not leaving here until we do. And, that's just, I think that's what it's going to take. It's going to take a president to say, nope, I don't give a shit if it takes us a month. We're going to lock ourselves in a room. We're going to go line by line through every fucking dollar we have coming in, every dollar going out, and we're going to figure it out.
Actually work?
Yeah, actually work. And he did. It's a movie, it's a
Right.
silly comedy and everything. But, the premise behind it is, it can be done if somebody wants to do it. It absolutely can be done. I mean, Clinton managed to do it. He managed to balance the budget.
Many Democrats managed to balance the budget.
Well, he's the only. Since
Obama managed to get us out of
since the Reagan era,
Right.
Obama didn't balance the budget. He got the deficit down to like $478 billion. Right, he cut it by more than half from where he inherited it from Bush.
Do you happen
And
to
we
know
know.
what it is now?
Oh, no, I didn't even bother because I know it's well over $1 trillion, 1.5, I think.
Yep.
And then that's what people don't understand about Trump's first term is they're like, he inherited that 478, I think it was 478 billion. He inherited that from Obama before COVID was even a thing.
Yep.
He already doubled it.
Yep.
That man is responsible for like 35% of the national debt.
Yep.
We did our fastest $1 trillion in debt in American history under Trump last year, like 6 months.
Absolutely.
It's like, you people that voted for him, like what? Why can't you see it?
But this goes over, why isn't this being covered?
Because they don't want it covered. Because they own it all. They don't. They pick and choose. That's why I stopped watching mainstream media. If articles come up, I'll read them. But I like to read more of the court shit. Like you'll read the HB bill numbers and stuff. Mainstream media is nothing more than, and I mean all of it. It's propaganda on both sides, and Trump knows that. That's where the whole 2 weeks thing comes in, because the news cycle tends to refresh every 2 weeks, and he's going to keep this going.
Discuss this.
Yep, he's going to keep this going until, for as long as he can.
Normalized.
Yeah, because like what the whole Epstein thing, and what I find fascinating, and this goes with MS Now, their investigative reporter that did some digging on Sasha Riley and couldn't find anything. Really? Because Sue on here, on Substack, Sue, whatever, she found a ton of shit in like a week.
Oh, yeah.
Like, are you serious? And that lady on TikTok, she's getting drunk.
I have subscribers who state now they're getting most of their news from Substack.
Yeah, because it's real people. It's me. It's you.
We have people that are doing some real digging. They're not stopping at what is being told to them. They're digging. They're going into public records in order to find out the truth. Because mainstream media, they no longer really investigate. They just tell you what's on the surface.
They just do a search.
They're looking at what's in front of you, what you can see. Nobody saw this surveillance report because it's in the RSS feed, because they're not actually looking at what Congress is doing.
Because that's what Israel has. They have a similar surveillance thing. And I want to encourage everybody, if you don't already, go look up here on Substack, T. Ashby, TEE. She is delivering so much information about Israel, their society, the laws, how things, there's just a ton of information on her page. How the young men think over there. And this goes back to the very beginning of our episode, how the way young men think, the way the propaganda that they see, that develops them into becoming people that will join a website with 60 million other men on it to tell each other how to rape women.
How to drug
That,
and rape women. You drug
yeah,
you have to drug them first because obviously women are gonna be putting up a fight, so they have to drug them first, you know? So women do not remember. There is this, story that took place in France, and the guy ended up, being prosecuted big time, and it was about this, husband, and it's out there. I read the report, and the husband was for years drugging his wife and then not paying men. Men would pay him, and the people that would pay him range from politicians to firemen to a variety farmers, whatever. Variety of
mm,
professions would come over there, have sex with his wife while she's
fuck.
unconscious.
What the fuck? See, I don't understand it. I don't understand that train of thought. I don't have the patience for that. And that's why, like I said earlier, the cops better catch him first if it happens to one of my daughters or granddaughter. I don't think people that do that, I don't think they belong in society. That's just my opinion on it. I don't I have no room for it.
What
When
sort
I
of
was a young man, was I a womanizer? Hell yes, but I never drugged a fucking woman. I never raped a fucking woman. You know, that is absolutely if a woman told me no, it was no. That was it. My
Well,
mom, for all her
that's the
flaws,
reason why
raised me
the
the right
drugging
way.
does come into play. That is the reason why drugging comes into play,
It's
because
fucking
if you go
disgusting.
down this path, well, there was consent, or there's this whole thing like she couldn't say no to me, therefore it was consent.
Mm,
Think about
bullshit.
it that way. You know, the logic that what it and they know it would be a no. That's the
Yep,
reason for the drugging,
yep,
you know? So you stated T. Ashby, Ashby?
yep,
Okay.
yep.
I wr
She's
wrote
got
it
a couple
down.
videos up, and they're getting spread like on TikTok and stuff. And yeah, so if you go check out her page, um, she has a lot of information about the relationship with the United States and Israel. And,
Okay.
people like, talking about laughing when they talk about killing Palestinian babies because they don't, a Palestinian that they'll grow up to be a Muslim. The hatred that a lot of that society has for, Muslims and the Palestinian community is beyond anything I've ever seen. It's it's sad. It is sad that people just think that way. I mean, it
Yeah, and
hurts my heart.
for those of you who have just joined us, as I preference at the beginning of the episode, that we were going to migrate from what my original thought was, how this episode was going to go, based upon what I had read yesterday. I knew we were going to be discussing a very tough topic, but it's a topic that really needs to be discussed. Now,
Yep.
circling back, there is this guy, I can't even think of his name because he's really not part of my um, sphere. I'm not in that thing, but there is this rapist that is now on Substack, and he has 1.1 million subscribers. If anybody can remind me of his
What?
name, yeah. And he's part of this whole manosphere. You should
Mm,
oh, please, I hope somebody's who's listening remembers his name,
you're gonna get me
and
banned. You're gonna get me banned from Substack. Uh-uh.
and so Substack, it goes back to our original point. There's a reason why I'm bringing him up. I think Shane or something like that is his name. I don't wanna be mistaken his name. Give me a moment. I will find it, damn it.
Let me ask if for those who are watching, I mean, what I said earlier, if they think it's too harsh, I don't think it's too harsh. I think anybody that, drugs and rapes a woman, molest a child, um, you know, anything like that. I mean, I think the punishment should automatically be life in prison. No ifs, ands, or buts. Period. No, no, you don't rehabilitate that in my mind. You just don't, and it's been proven over and over again. You let these people out of prison after 10 years, and they just go do the same shit.
Yeah, what is his name? And nobody's telling me his name. It's very, very big. I'm sorry. I am looking up his
Was he
name.
convicted of it?
Oh God, I think so. Um, has one. He has out there. He was banned from TikTok. He was banned from all these things. He is very misogynistic, obviously. Um,
Is he the kid from the actual Manosphere documentary?
no, I don't think so. Not with the number of followers that he has.
I w- mm.
Shit. And I blocked him. I immediately blocked him. I know some have blocked him and reported him, but I doubt that Substack will get rid of him. Because if you think about Substack makes 10% off paid subscribers. So there, if yeah. Now I understand he doesn't have that many paid subscribers, but he does have 1.1 million um, subscribers, but the paid ones, I believe it's as low as 53. I read that too. And I'm sorry I can't remember his name because I have a tendency to forget names that I don't agree with. I kind of block it from my mind. I'm done. I blocked him and I'm trying to find my block people. Yes, I do block people. But for some reason,
I don't
because
think
I'm in
I. There's a couple on here I think I blocked. I block more on TikTok than I do anywhere else.
but nonetheless, getting down to, I'll find his name. I'll send it out to everybody when we put this one on here. But what I'm getting down to is because we're going to be wrapping this up is that it's something you and I've discussed last week and the week before. It truly comes down to money. Why is this website up? Due to money. Think about the number of men that are paying money
Yep.
for this. Why does Substack allow
Gross.
people, including other Nazi publications, KKK publications, all that is part of the Substack ecosystem. Why do they allow this onto their ecosystem?
It's a private platform too. That's what privately owned, and I think people misunderstand the difference between a First Amendment right when it comes to the government versus you know Substack can let whoever they want on their platform, and if they choose to let somebody like that on their platform, it would take a lot of people to let Substack know that, hey, either you're going to get this guy off your platform or we're all going to leave. But that would have to be, a collective of probably
But
millions
why
of people.
should the people like us leave? That's my question. Why should we be pushed away? How many other
We shouldn't.
places? That's my question then.
I don't.
I'm
I
not
don't.
going to be pushed
It's.
away by some.
I. I don't understand. I mean, I would understand if it was Twitter, you know, but uh, Substack
Twitter
being the type.
banned him. I know Twitter banned him originally, but as soon as these are the details that I do remember. Musk allowed him back on,
Mm,
but that's no surprise there.
you're not talking to brothers from Romania, are you?
Yeah,
Oh, okay. I know who you're
The
now.
main
Yeah.
guy. Yes,
Uh, the one
exactly.
that Trump pardoned.
Yes, the main guy.
Yeah. What? Yep. He's on here.
Yes,
Yeah, they were arrested for in Romania for trafficking
yes.
women. Yep, I know who you're talking about now. Um, I, his name is slipping me right now, but I know exactly who you're talking about. I wasn't aware he was on here.
Yes.
Um, yeah,
You know,
that's
as
gross.
I'm putting together all the dots in my memory bank,
Those
and
are all.
he just got on here a couple of days ago.
Why would I mean?
So
There are
within
people
my
from the right on here,
huh?
but there are people that are right winged on here, but not like X or any Twitter or whatever. So um, yeah, that surprises me that Substack would allow them to be on here because that is, I mean,
But that goes back to our original part of our conversation. Think about the original part of our conversation. They're normalizing this.
yep. There's nothing normal about it. It's
No,
it's oh my god, that this subject is just it's so freaking hard to discuss, and
but they're normalizing it
because
because of
that's
the
my
money.
greatest. Yeah, it is. Money, like I said many times, money makes the world go round. And, as a father, that is my biggest fucking fear. That is my biggest fear. And, you know, what we were talking about before we got on, um, it's I can't I can't tell you how afraid I am for my kids. And I'll do whatever I have to make them understand that, you know, like when they're kids, right? They're scared of the monsters in the closet. But, we've always taught them the monsters aren't in the closet. The
Right in front
monsters
of
are
you.
out there in the real world, and you probably walk by one every single fucking day. Those are where the monsters are,
Over 60 million men? Come on.
and that's a lot. That's a lot, and it's gross. Damn city.
And there's once again, we do have a rape culture here in America. And I'm going to keep hammering this point, and it's allowed as high as our Supreme Court. Who was found
Yep,
in the Epstein files? Who's on our Supreme Court?
all of them. Clarence Thomas,
Roberts.
Roberts. Um,
Brett was not,
there's a
but
lot of
Brett
talk
has his
about.
own issues.
Yeah. What's going to suck about that is if that one dude does step down, if one of the two, that motherfucker is going to get to put another justice in there. Jesus Christ. Um,
So, so yeah, I was sickened to read this article. I'm going to close it out today. Was sickened to read this article, but
it's
I
a hard
was
subject to talk about. It really is. But I'm glad you decided to talk about it. And I made my stance very blunt where I stand with it. Um, I don't think it has any place in our society, and I don't. I think if a grown ass man chooses, he makes that choice to do that to a woman, whether he drugs them or forcibly, rapes a woman. I don't believe those people have a place in our society. I don't.
but I'm going to have to do a little, I'm going to say teenagers too. Teenager
Yeah,
boys
they
are
know right from
seeing
wrong.
this as acceptable.
Yep.
And so it's not just the grown men, but this is being accepted by our society as a whole. Therefore, teenage boys will
Yep.
find this as acceptable behavior. And
And
it
some of
does
them
go
are getting slaps on the wrist from
right.
judges. Like, oh,
Correct.
it's okay. No, no,
There
no,
was
no, no, no.
there was an Ivy League kid here
Yep.
at Stanford, 18 years old, stuffed the woman behind this dumpster, got a slap on the wrist, and had to move out of state, more or less.
Jesus Christ.
And that happened. So this is there's a pattern here, and we will discuss this pattern even more so next Tuesday, because this topic deserves more time than our usual hour. Also, it'll give us an opportunity to go over what's going on with ICE, reason why, how is DHS not being funded, yet ICE still going around terrorizing our communities, as well as, the other things that are not being discussed, about the fact that the war is continuing on and continuing to get funded. So, how is this happening? So we will continue this conversation next week on Tuesday. Thank you for everyone for joining us. If you haven't subscribed to me, go ahead and subscribe to me. If you haven't subscribed to Jason, please subscribe to Jason as well.
Don't you people worry. Your Congress members are going to send strongly worded letters.
Thank you again. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.